So to get to our animation view, we'll just switch over to the tab right here. And then out of the box, there's a lot of really good setup right here. We have our camera. So we're always going to be animating to a camera for the most part. We have our 3D view to work in, and then we have our dope sheet. So the dope sheet is basically a more advanced version of the timeline. So we have timeline, dope sheet, and then graph editor. So timeline is going to be this, dope sheet's going to be next up, and then graph editor. And graph editor is what we're going to use for the bulk of the course, but we're going to stick with dope sheet for quite a bit. So first off, if we just kind of like play around, if you notice if I rotate around, our camera kind of gets stuck. To fix this, what we're going to do is I'm going to hit 0 on my number pad, or you can hit the tilde key and go to camera right there. And then I'm going to hit N, and then I'm simply going to go to view and then lock camera to view. And what that's going to do is make sure that when we rotate the camera is actually going with it. So we can actually control the position with our camera from with our viewport. And just to kind of set this up a little bit, what I'm going to do is just move this over like this. And then what I'm going to do is when I got my mouse over the camera view, I'm going to hit home, which is going to just maximize that. And then we have our black bars up here. I'm just going to go ahead and set these to be completely black. That's kind of just a personal preference of mine. So if we select our camera, go to camera, and then we go down to, viewport display, and then we go over down here and we'll just set opacity all the way up to 1. So now basically we're essentially in a film camera mode. All the other properties that we want to kind of adjust in here, we have our clip start and end. You notice if I zoom out of this, cubes will disappear. That's going to be our clip start and end. So we're going to want to set this to something really, really high, something like 5,000. Then I'm just going to zoom back in here. And then another one that we're going to want to play around with is just going to be focal length. I want to set this to 15. So this is just going to help exaggerate our animation. So a focal length of 15, whenever you have a really wide focal length like that, it kind of makes things look big, right? So longer focal lengths tend to make things look sleek. So like a model would be shot with a longer lens, something like a 90. And if you're looking at some kind of grand monster or skyscraper, you would use something like a 15. And then if we want to actually see our grid, and then before we move past this point, I'm going to just go ahead and drop in a plane and then go ahead and scale. And you'll notice that it's going to be at our cursor still. So what we're going to do is reset our cursor. I'm going to go ahead and undo out of that. And the hotkey to center our cursor is just going to be Shift C. So Shift C. And then our cursor is going to be reset right there. And then next time we create the plane, it'll automatically be set up to be at the origin right there. So I'm just going to scale this up like that. And then we're just going to set up a frame, something like this. If we look in our rendering mode, we'll see that we have some shadows going, which will help us animate too. I'm going to be switching back and forth between solid mode and rendered mode quite a bit. And then we'll take a look at the dope sheet in the next chapter.